All right. So thank you for joining today. Let's get another classroom session in. If you guys didn't hear me the first time, just use the general chat or the live stream chat to communicate. I'm going to be the only one speaking today, as it's not going to be efficient if we're all speaking at the same time. So if you have any questions or want to partake in the conversation, just type it out. I will get to any of the messages. Any DMs, I will get them a later time. I'm going to focus on the classroom session and the conversation that we were having today. The conversation that I want to have today is psychology. I'm going to dive into psychology in regards to the chart, in regards to health, in regards to finances, in regards to managing and executing. I'm going to try to touch on psychology from every aspect that I can. If there's any questions, again, just put it in the live stream chat. We are going to be focusing on psychology today. For any of the people that miss the conversation, we do these classroom sessions weekly. So if you are unable to make it to this week's classroom session, we will schedule a time again next week. If the classroom sessions are not for you because you just don't have time during the week, then we also have the YouTube series as well. So all of this information is also going to be talked about in the YouTube series. It's just a benefit of being in the Discord because the YouTube videos are a limited amount of time, right? So I'm not going to be able to have a conversation that's a half an hour or an hour long in a YouTube video. Those are going to be, 10, 15, maybe even less, maybe less than 10 minutes long. So I will post the recording to the classroom session in the resources section as well, so everybody will be able to access this later on. So we're going to start the conversation from a risk perspective on psychology. And you heard me earlier saying that, I love getting after it with work. I love getting after it with my other businesses. I love getting after it in the gym and my health. It's all going to tie into your abilities on this chart. Right. So, excuse me. Just need to take a quick sip of water there. So it's all going to tie into your abilities here on the chart. Now, what I'm getting at here is if you don't have a full-time day job, I highly suggest getting one. If you do have a full-time day job, I highly suggest not deterring yourself from your daily job because of the chart. Right, and I mentioned this in the YouTube video, and this is important to understand, when is the right time, when is not the right time. And that is going to be unique to each individual that's in here. Nobody, we all have our own schedules. We all have our own lives. We all are doing our own jobs and our daily responsibilities. Now, in terms of the chart, to be splitting your focus between a job and between the chart is instantly going to become lower probability, right? Like if you have responsibilities that you need to take care of, and this goes for anything, it could be kids at home, or you're going to the gym, like your health. If your attention is not going to be on these charts, that is your first alarm to know that it is not time to trade, right? And I'm specifically calling this psychology because it's your thought process that happens. Like, don't come in here and think that it's okay. You must know that it's lower probability if you're not going to focus on your executions because of work, because you're trying to accomplish your responsibilities for your day job. Don't trade. Just don't trade. If your son or your daughter needs your attention, don't trade. Right? We need to be able to control our thought processes. We need to understand what is higher probability versus lower probability. Because the fact of the matter is the market's never going anywhere. Ever since it was created, it has never left. There will always be another opportunity. Whether you get today's opportunity or not is completely up to you. And the only thing that is right from wrong is what I'm trying to get at here, is your attention, is your thought processes. You need to understand what is lower versus higher probability. If you're unable to focus on the chart, then don't trade. It's plain and simple. The other fact of the matter is there will never be one opportunity that changes your life, right? Like, if you really thought that was the case here, go play the lotto. See how that works for you. If you really think that you're going to hit a home run and your life is going to change overnight, you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. I'm just going to keep going back to psychology because these are the thought processes that we have while we are trading, and we need to control them, right? So I'm putting the facts in front of you, and you could decide to take it or not, but this is what has come over a 6-year period of time, right? So, if you haven't been doing this for 6 years and you haven't seen profits and losses, then maybe you should take this into consideration, what I'm saying. This is strictly speaking from experience. We need to be able to control our thoughts because it will either deter our execution or not. And I'll show it on the chart. We will play it, the chart that I have up, we will play it, one candle at a time, and we will go through the thought processes as well. We are just laying out the information on the table first so we know what the conversation is about. Now we're going to go to the other side of the coin, right, in terms of thought processes. Just like how I said, it's not higher probability if your attention is somewhere else than on the chart. It's also not going to be higher probability if you're not in the right state of mind, right? Like if you're hungover because you were drinking alcohol the day before, and you got a headache and you're tired and now you want to come in here and trade, horrible idea. Horrible, horrible idea. It doesn't even have to be for a bad reason, right? How about we're hungry, right? So because we're hungry, we're getting a little antsy, or, we can't focus as much because, we need breakfast, we need lunch. Every single piece of this business needs to be taken into consideration. You need to understand the importance of risk. And we're looking at the importance of risk right now through the scope of psychology, through the scope of how you think during the thought process of executing. Right? Like if you're hungry, there's no reason to get all antsy and agitated right before New York Open. Right? Like, we need to be in the right state of mind. We need to have clear and concise thoughts and actions because that's when you're going to have higher probability. If you woke up at 9 o'clock and the market opens in a half an hour and you're rushing to the screen because you want to get a position on, it's lower probability, instantly lower probability. Right? So whether we're talking about a day job or now we're starting to talk about how you feel physically, right? It could be psychology could be looked through the scope of many different, avenues. We need to be able to have that emotional intelligence to understand what is right versus wrong. If you're at your day job, work your day job. Come back to the market another time. If you are too tired because you just woke up 15 minutes before the market has opened, just don't trade. Just have the discipline and the patience to wait until higher probability times. Because the fact of the matter is no one position is ever going to make you rich. You are going to have to do this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over to get to those goals that you think you want to achieve. And it's going to take it one position at a time to get to that goal. And you have to respect the risk to understand that the first moment you slip up, you could be taken out of the game. So if you're not going to respect the risk every single time you risk, I'll be the first one to tell you, you're going to blow an account. You're going to get knocked out. When all it takes is some discipline, some due diligence, some patience, some emotional intelligence. And that's usually the problem, right? Is like everybody just wants to come in here and, be told when to buy, when to sell. Everybody just wants to know, how do I make profits? Show me the chart. Show me what you did. Well, this chart is only 20% of it. This chart is only 20% of it. 80% of it is your own mind. Aligning your actions with your thoughts. Being disciplined in your execution. Right? So now here's another. So now we talked about, your day job, your daily responsibilities, and how the psychology could affect you. Then we just talked about your physical psychology, being tired or, hungover or something. And now we could talk about executing psychology as well. Right? So we're going to play through this as it happened today. Right? And this is obviously what everybody wants to hear, so we'll go into the conversation. We'll talk about that. Let me just double check that the recording's on so everybody could see the screen. I know everybody doesn't want to hear me rant about, the mental and the personal stuff. It's usually everybody just wants to hear, how do you make profit? Give me a signal. When the reality of it is it's always going to be you versus you. Nobody's ever going to press the button for you. You're never, even if somebody told you when to buy and when to sell, you're still not going to press the button at the same time. So, the best way forward is always going to be an independent thinker. Is to achieve the muscle memory on your own and do it on your own. And that's why I'm talking about the psychology first instead of the chart. Because what really matters is aligning your actions with your words. Being disciplined in your execution. Don't come in here and say that you're only going to take one trade a day and then take 5 trades and only show one of them. You're only lying to yourself. Have some discipline in your actions. The OBS is on, so that's a good thing. Everything has been recorded. Right, and now I'll go through the chart as well. We'll talk about the psychology on the chart as well. Just, take some self-reflection before we get into the chart. One last comment about, the personal stuff. Take some self-reflection and understand yourself. Understand what is right. Choose which sessions will work the best for you and your life and your family and your jobs, and execute when the time is right. And know if the time is not right, there will always be another opportunity. You do not have to force it. Once you're in the right state of mind physically, and once you have defined your sessions that work best for you in terms of probability, then we could get onto the chart, and that's what we'll do now. Right? So now you see me do this every single day, and you'll continue to see me now that you're in the Discord. You'll see that I document my business here every single day. It's been this way for years on end. If anything, I would say do not use it as a signal service. Use it as a platform to learn. Obtain the muscle memory and do it on your own. And the way you're going to obtain that muscle memory is doing the same exact thing time and time again. And right, so now I'll tell you exactly how I do it. Right? There are 2 forms of time alignment. time alignment is as follows. You either, first of all, sorry, let me back up for a second. Every single day starts on the economic calendar. Every single day starts on the economic calendar. We need to be aware of the important times of the day. And you'll see that I post the economic calendar the first thing I do when I wake up when I start making my coffee. Then we go to the chart. We always start on the higher time frames. And this is where I was going into that comment. There is two forms of time alignment. The first form of time alignment is the weekly chart. You get your bias from the weekly chart, and we'll walk through it after I just talk about the time alignments. You don't mix the time alignments, you use one or the other. So either you start on the weekly and you move from the weekly to the 4 hour, then you move from the 4 hour to the 15-minute. Your weekly is your bias, your 4 hour is your market structure and your narrative, and your 15-minute is your executing time frame. That's the first set of time alignment. You either use that set of time alignment or you start it on the daily. The daily you get your bias. From the daily, you move to a 1 hour chart. Your 1 hour chart is your market structure and your narrative. From the 1 hour chart, you move to the 5-minute chart for your executions. You do not mix the time alignments. You do not say, I got my bias from the weekly and I'm executing on the 5-minute. It is one or the other. Okay? So now let's walk through today's position, right? The first thing that I have to say about today's position, right, on the weekly chart, we are below an external location. We are below a swing low. Areas in which you look for longs will be below swing lows. Areas in which you look for shorts will be above swing highs. That's it. That's it. So, seeing that we're below a swing low on the weekly, I would look for longs. Bias completed. We will go into the 4 hour now. All right. And this is what the chart would look like. Hold on, one more candle. Why is it skipping over this candle? There we go. All right, here's your weekly sell side here. We'd be looking for longs being below a swing low. Right? I have the same exact thing to say about the 4 hour. Right? Swing low. We are below a swing low. Right? And this is me building a narrative now. I said the 4 hour would be either your narrative or your market structure. And this is me building a narrative to get into a position. The weekly bias was that we were below a swing low, so I would look for longs. Now on the 4 hour, I'm building a narrative, and you can see we, again, are below a swing low. And I also see draws on liquidity here, right? You can see we have a draw on liquidity here, an unfilled FVG, and we have a little bit of a low resistance liquidity run here with the failure swing. See the lower high here. There was no swing high, right? This is not a swing high. This is a swing high. And this swing high did not get that liquidity taken yet. Right, this is, let me show you. This is what liquidity taken looks like. All right, well, I don't know why that's not a straight line, so let's do it with the straight line. Liquidity taken. when we go above a swing high. Right? Swing high, taken. Swing high has not been taken. We have not ran above that high after it was created. Right? So we have multiple draws on liquidity higher, and we are in an area both on the weekly chart and on the 4-hour chart that you would look for longs. Right? So now bias just had a narrative aligned with it. On the weekly chart, we were looking for longs because of where we were on the chart. And there are things on the 4-hour chart, your narrative chart, that says look for longs. There are draws on liquidity higher, and we're again in a position, in an area, to be looking for longs. Okay, now you go to your executing chart, right? You go to your executing chart, and on your executing chart is where you have to confirm all of your criteria. When you confirm all of your criteria, it needs to be in the session that you participate in, right? I am a New York AM trader, right? So for the indexes, New York Open is 9:30. As ICT states, the best breakers will see two forms of liquidity taken: the higher time frame and the lower time frame. The higher time frame, we are below a weekly swing low and a 4-hour swing low. There's definitely higher time frame liquidity being taken right now. Now your lower time frame is going to be your executing time frame, right? And you can also see that price swept a swing low, right? Right here, swing low. We're not looking at any low, we're looking at swing lows. A swing low is a three candle pattern that has a low with higher lows on each side of it. Right? A low with higher lows on each side of it. That's when you know liquidity has been taken. ICT said the best breakers will see two forms of liquidity being taken: the higher time frame and the lower time frame. I just explained that. Now, ICT has also stated the definition to a unicorn, right? Like the reason why he calls this a unicorn is not just because of the breaker with the FEG aligned with the breaker. He is also referencing liquidity being taken at opening price, right? So if I know I'm stuttering and whatnot and it doesn't sound too clear, just go to the resources section, right, and watch the videos. I've placed the videos in there so you guys could just get the information yourself. Do your own due diligence. You can see in the video in there him say this exact quote. I've literally snipped it and put it in the resources section. A unicorn itself is not just a pattern, it's also a time. A unicorn is a breaker with an FEG aligned with it after it has taken sell side liquidity at opening price. Right? Obviously buy side for shorts. Opening price 9:30. At this time, right, 9 o'clock, it does not have to, let me make sure we're making everything clear. If you think it's going to happen at the moment of 9:30 every single time, it is not that truly defined. If you're talking about 6 a.m. in the morning versus 9:15 in the morning, you see the difference there? It's not going to be the exact minute of 9:30 every single time. It's going to be 9:45. It's going to be 9:15. It's going to be 9:30. It's at opening price. Opening price is at 9:30. Seeing that at opening price, we have our higher time frame liquidity taken, we have our shorter time frame liquidity taken, and it was at opening price. This is a unicorn, right? And so it's easy to see if you just analyze my executions. I rarely have executions in the evening because of this fact. I only trade unicorns. I only look at opening price. And this is not from me, this is strictly from ICT. I do these things because he has said it. And after he said it, I did it so many times that I have the proof of it. I have the experience and the muscle memory to be able to see it, identify it, and act accordingly when it happens. We will get back to the psychology as soon as I put the position on the screen. I just need to define the concepts. We are at opening price. We have completed all of our criteria. We mark out our position. Right? And now we set limit orders. This is what it would look like. This is the very, very first moment that all of our criteria is confirmed. So if you want to see what a defined, confirmed trigger looks like, this is what it looks like right here. The highest up closed candle before the leg down that took liquidity. Clear and decisive displacement through the breaker block. The clear and decisive displacement leaves an FVG aligned with the breaker block. This all occurs at New York Open. It has taken higher time frame and lower time frame liquidity. We had a 4-hour narrative, so time alignment, that matched our higher time frame area that we were located. We created a higher time frame bias. We obtained a narrative. We waited for the correct time. We were not impulsive. We did not allow our emotions take over. We controlled our actions and we waited for New York Open. And now that we're at New York Open, we defined all of our criteria. And now we're ready to go. This is the very first moment. I would be placing an order for the highest price here, right? You can see the prices here. Open, high, low, close. What's the highest? Oh, right there. What's the highest price of the breaker block? 4352. 4352. I'd be placing a limit order for 4352. And as I always state, the stop loss goes below the breaker block. Okay. Now we're going to go back into, now that we've defined all our concepts and we know what we're looking for, we're going to go back into the psychology conversation, the one that this classroom is about. First things first, we are not so impulsive that we are executing outside of our defined time. If we stated that we are New York AM traders, we are not executing at 4 a.m. in the morning during London session. We are not executing at 7 p.m. at night during aftermarket hours. We do not touch price. We are strong enough in our thoughts and our actions to be disciplined and only execute during the time that we have set out for ourselves. Now that we've gotten to that time, we are going to control our actions during the hunting hours, right? So at this moment in time, I'm going to take the position off there because it hasn't confirmed itself yet, right? At this moment in time, I'm not doing anything on the chart. I'm looking to confirm my criteria. I'm not getting excited because, everything's starting to align and we're below a low and I should, try to get the lowest candle of the day and try to long the bottom. I'm not doing anything outside of my criteria. I'm controlling my actions and my thoughts. Right? at this moment in time, I have the low marked out. I have the breaker block marked out. I'm still not entering anything. Just because it looks like it's going to start to go through the breaker block, I'm not trying to be the first one there. I will not touch anything until all of the criteria is confirmed. Right? Saying these things because we need to control our actions. At this moment in time, I'm still not touching anything. Right? Yeah, okay, we have swept a low. Everything is aligned. It's at opening price. We've taken the higher time frame liquidity. We've taken the lower time frame liquidity. We've broken through the breaker block. There's still no FVG though. All of the criteria has not been confirmed. Right? Like if you were to enter right now, look how much more risk you get. You get another 2 points of risk. On one mini contract, that's another $100. That's not okay. I'm not rushing into a position. If I don't get a position, I don't care. I have no feelings about it. There's no feelings to have here. We're only analyzing defined information. Right? When I say defined, this candle needs to close for you to even say that we broke through the breaker block. Because if this candle closed all the way back down here, you'd be real upset that you market ordered in right now, thinking you were trying to be the first one there. Defined information is closed candles. Right, so now that this one's closed, I would be waiting for the next candle. And now at this moment in time, this is your very first time all of the criteria is confirmed. Again, I'm not being so scared that price is running away from me that I'm going to market order. Why is this not moving up? There we go. Okay, we're going to just grab a new position because that one's giving me trouble. Right, so I'm not so scared. I'm not so impulsive that I'm thinking that this thing is running away from me. It's confirmed all of my criteria, but I need to get in because it's running away from me. No. No, no, no. Look again, look how much more risk you're taking on here, and look at the reward. You're ruining it. All because of these negative thoughts that you're having. Instead, why don't you just fall in love with the process? Why don't you fully define yourself? Why don't you fully define your concepts? Why don't you fully define your execution and your management? And fall in love with doing that correctly every single time. Like the real win, the real profit of trading is discipline, is patience, is emotional intelligence. Defining yourself and then doing what you said you were going to do. Not allowing any emotions to deter you. Not allowing any negative thoughts to deter you. Fall in love with doing the system correct, whether you win or lose. Do it correct again and again and again and again. That's the real win, is having the discipline and having the patience. Right? Because now, at this moment in time, I'm limit ordering this right here. 4352. Limit order. I'm limit ordering a stop loss below the breaker block. I'm limit ordering +2 TP, +2 R. All the orders will just be set on the screen, waiting. Waiting. Do I get filled? Great. Do I don't get filled? Oh well. Right back to the drawing board. All right, so let's see what happens. All right, now at this moment in time, I'm not saying, oh my God, they just barely missed my limit order and now it's going to rocket. Look at this nice bounce off of the breaker block. and now it's going to shoot right. Oh, it looks like it's going to go. It's it just whipped right back up there. This thing's about to take off. Let me just get in. No, 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 no. It's never going to be okay to chase. It's never going to be okay to have these intrusive thoughts. You said you were going to limit order the block. You said the stop loss goes below the block. Either the order gets hit or it doesn't. There is no in between. There's no feelings to have. This is what we need to control, is ourselves. This is why I'm talking about it today. Because even if you can come in here and identify this and know when to identify this, you can completely not know how to handle yourself and your own mind. And then at that point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you can identify. If you are so impulsive that you can't control your own actions, you'll never make it. Realize that you need to define yourself. Realize that you need to have the discipline to carry out exactly what you said you were going to do. It's not okay to be doing otherwise. It's not funny. It's not okay. We're not showing off. This is you versus you. The only person that's going to lose money is yourself. It does not matter what anybody else thinks. It's your finances. This is your well-being. This is your future. Respect it. We didn't get filled here. I'm not chasing this. Would you look at that? It didn't take off. It did not run to the moon. It wasn't that strong. So if you did market order that, right? If you market ordered that, look how much more risk you would have took on there. You'd be so red at this point. That's what, 60 down to, you'd be 8 points red, that you'd probably have such a pit in your stomach that you'd already just close the position for a loss because you're in such drawdown. Even more so, you'd be so pissed off at yourself because you set the rules and you didn't follow them. You're never going to gain conviction that way. You're never going to gain conviction that way. You're going to be even more pissed off at yourself for not following your rules. Right? And now, even worse, you're probably selling this thing for a loss. Even though you never got to see if this position really played out. Because guess what happens? Bounces right off the breaker block, and here we go. All right, so now you're back in drawdown. So you probably would have left here anyways, but there's no invalidation yet. And now you're seeing price, and you're saying, you know what? If I held, I'd be back to being profitable. And now you're completely pissed off at yourself because you didn't follow the rules. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. When in reality, if you did, you would have seen so much less drawdown, first of all. Second of all, you're in profit now. Right? Like we're probably getting closer to 2R here. Where's 2R? Which for me, 2R is a winner. So, yep. Almost at 2R here. So instead of breaking your rules and going outside of the justifications to your actions, you'd be close to be taking profit. Right? There you go. You could have went from being extremely pissed off at yourself for not following the rules because you entered too early, because you were being emotionally impulsive, to the completely other side of the spectrum. If you just followed your rules, you would have gotten a nice entry It would have saw some drawdown, but never made it to invalidation. And then it ended up being a winner. All it takes is some discipline. All it takes is you defining yourself and your system and aligning your actions with your words. Right now, that was the fearful way of thinking. That was the fearful psychology of trying to chase or being so fearful of being in drawdown that you leave your position. Let's play through one more scenario. All right, so now, same exact thing. The analysis doesn't change. The position's still the same as it was, right? But we're going to go through a different, intrusive thought, right? So maybe we did set our limit orders and we're ready to go, right? So we're just waiting. We didn't get tagged in yet. Oh well, at least we're strong enough in our execution to wait for the orders tag. Okay, now we're in a position, right? We're just waiting. Probably at break even because it bounced right back to where you entered. Oh, nice, right? Right after bouncing off of your entry, now we're a couple points positive, right? I can't let this thing turn red again, right? I'm gonna trail my stop up. That way, no matter what, this is a winner, right? Well, guess what? There you go. You're taking out right at break even. You need to be so the intrusive thought here is being so scared to even be in a position that you can't. You follow the rules for entry, but now the emotions get heightened because now you're in the position and you're seeing the number go up and down, that you get so fearful that the very first moment that you turn green, you need to make sure it never turns red again. Well, here you go. You're gonna live a break-even lifestyle then. This is going to happen to you time and time again. Right? Even though price never saw invalidation, we got a nice bounce off of our entry and we became profitable. And we were then so fearful that we could not let it become red again. Well, guess what? You got taken out at break even. Again, now, if you just were disciplined in your executions and you said, right, like either we will be invalidated or we will take plus 2R, there is no in between. I'm not going to allow any emotions to deter me from that. You would have never trailed your stop up to break even because no other orders are to be placed after you enter the position. You either get plus 2R or you get minus 1R. Right? So there's nothing else to do. You do all of your due diligence before you get into the position. Once you get into the position, you have lost all control. And this is why we do our due diligence. This is why we respect the justifications to our actions. This is why we have discipline in the concepts, because as soon as your order gets filled, you have lost all control. Price can and will do whatever it wants whenever it wants to. So don't be so fearful that as soon as you become green to choke your stop up and not allow it to go red again. Because let's watch. Let's watch what happens. Never sees invalidation. And then again, boom. We're almost at 2R now. So instead of getting taken out at break even, you'd be nicely profitable again. And then one more candle, you're taking profit. So something that never saw invalidation and it was a winner but you were deterred by your emotions. You see what I'm trying to get at here? This is why we need to talk about psychology. We need to talk about having emotional intelligence. We need to talk about the thoughts that you're having when you're in the position. It's not just a chart. It's not just a breaker block with an FEG. There are important concepts that we need to go over here, and we're going to continue to have these classroom sessions week in and week out because, you know, we're here to learn. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep working every single week. You know, this is how it's been for the last 6 years. Whether you guys are here or not, this is what's happening. For anybody that wants to join, I'm open arms. I'm an open book for anybody else that wants to join. There is going to be more conversations about psychology, but I'm not going to make this a overly lengthy video to the point where nobody even finishes it, because these are important conversations to have. Okay, I've gone through a couple psychology, you know, conversations over the past hour now. It's already been an hour of me ranting. Sorry if that's been too long, but this is the reality of the situation. The key takeaways here are: define when you will participate. Make sure it is a higher probability time for you and your life, whether that means job, family, whether that means health, right? Whether that means mental state of mind, right? If you're too tired, don't show up. There will be another opportunity. Show up the next time. Right? So the conversation started with, you know, figuring out what is the right time for your daily life and for your physical health. Then it went into the chart. It's always going to be mind over matter. It's always going to be you versus you. So you need to do it in that order. Don't come to the chart and then figure out, oh, I'm tired, I can't really focus. If you've already put a position on, you're fucked. Excuse my French. You've already put the position on. If it's not the right time, just wait. Just have patience. All right? And then the conversation went into the chart. Then the conversation went into, you know, the psychology of price moving, how to think during each candle, what to do to align your actions with those thought processes, to not be deterred by those intrusive thoughts. You know, like your execution is going to be deterred if you allow these emotional intrusive thoughts to occur. If you are an emotionally impulsive person, you're going to have to work on that outside of the chart and then come back to the chart. You're not going to fix that here. You have to fix that in your own mind, your own life, and then bring that skill set to the chart. Okay, so we're gonna have more of these classroom sessions. We're gonna do this each week. So it has been recorded for anybody that missed the rant. That we could also even come back to this at other times for anybody that is here and you want to reference it again. It'll be in the resources section. It's been recorded. Now that I'm done ranting, if you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to throw it in the live stream chat or the general chat. I'll give a little bit of time for questions and answers. I'm not going to spend my whole day on here though. It's already been an hour. Maybe, you know, another 15-20 minutes of questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. Let's see what we already have in terms of questions. So, hi, is there any sound? All right, we got the sound settings ready. Yes, we got sound. Do you ever trade on the 1 minute or the 30-second time frame? No, the 2 time alignments that I discussed today are the only 2 options. I will only execute on the 15-minute chart. I will only execute on the 5-minute chart. When I'm executing, all of the criteria is confirmed on the chart that you are executing on. When I am executing, I use time alignment to do my analysis. I went over the time alignments earlier, and it also looks like Iman also says it in the next comment here. How do you know which time frames to watch? That's a personal answer, right? Like, if you are still working on patience, you don't have it yet, right? Maybe you work with the 5-minute time frame because it's going to take a lot more time for a position to play out if you're using the 15-minute time frame, right? So that's a personal answer. Right? There's not a better or worse answer. That's a you needing to define yourself and your system and abiding to it. If you are a more patient person, right? Like, then use the 15-minute. Like, if you think the candles moving up and down so quickly will induce emotions, the 5-minute is going to move quicker than the 15-minute, right? So then in that scenario, you'd want to use the 15-minute. It's a personal answer for that one. All I'm saying is define it and then align your actions with your words. If you said you're going to do this, make sure your actions show that you're doing that. Thanks, Ash. Quick question for beginner traders. Is there anything wrong with taking profits at 5 points consistently? Make sure your risk to reward is correct, right? Like, if you're taking 5 points consistently, but your risk going into the position has a stop loss of 10 points, you're never going to make any progress. If your winners are always half an R and your losers are minus 1 R, you're going to have like a 90% win ratio to be profitable, right? So align it with risk. Right, so the position that we just spoke about today, the stop was 6.25. And the take profit was at 12.75. Right, 2R. The focus is on the R, not the points for that one. I can relate to this, have done so many break-evens. So I can relate to this, have done break-even so many of my winner setups. Define your execution before you execute. That's exactly the conversation we were having. It sounds like you are being emotionally impulsive if that is the case. If you are too scared to hold a position after it becomes green, if you are going to choke your stop up and not allow it to become red again, you're going to run into this scenario time and time again. Awesome. Thanks. You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that everybody else is here. I'm trying to provide as much value as I can every single day, every single week. And, the important part to this is it's repetition for myself. So, I need to work on my own business. So this is just me publicly documenting. Thank you for being here as well. Psychology is indeed important. Yes. So actually, psychology is my favorite part to all this. I got my degree in psychology when I went to college. Understanding psychology can literally be the breaking point for you. It can be what makes you profitable. It can be what makes you loss. Like it could be the turning point. This will always be 80% mental, 20% chart. Fantastic live stream, of course, eternal, anytime, every week. It's not going to stop. Exactly what I did wrong this morning. More practice on it. Thank you. I'm guessing that was a part of the conversation we were having as we were going through price. Maybe it was the choking stop up too quick or impulsively entering and chasing price before you should be entering. those are things that we will continue to discuss about. You'll see it happen time and time again. I've been smiling and laughing at most of your scenarios, did most of them, and still do when I'm not careful. Yeah, this is by experience. So don't think that I'm some abnormal person. I'm just like every single one in here. I'm saying it because I've done all these things before. I've done them so many times that I could recognize it. Right? Like it's been 6 years of this. That's the reason why I'm able to say, because all of the times that I choked my stop up, I got taken out at break even. So it's by experience. I'm just as normal as everybody else in here. Is the unicorn the same at PM session or London? Yes. All of the criteria to the unicorn is the same. Does not matter which session you decide to partake in. Right? Like if you're a London trader, doing this at London Open is the same exact thing. It would be the same exact steps that you take. Make sure you are participating in hunting hours. Right? Do not do this at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have to be inside of one of the opening sessions. You need to be inside of one of the hunting hours, and they're listed in the Discord. So if you didn't watch my YouTube video today, you could either watch that. I have them listed in the Discord as well. There's many resources to figure out which are the appropriate times. Is it possible to share potential entries if you are looking at, just for beginners, not spoiling our habits? I think playing follow the leader is the worst thing that you could do for yourself. Right? Like if I were to be a signal caller, you are never going to build the muscle memory for yourself. Yeah, sure, maybe there's a market for people that, just don't really want to learn, they just want to be told what to do. Maybe we'll cross that bridge when we get there. This is just like the classic saying of, teach a man how to fish and he'll be able to eat the rest of, his life. Or give a man a fish and he's going to be back tomorrow. Like, isn't that why we're all here? Isn't the freedom, why we're doing this? Like, if you wanted a boss, then you should just get a day job. I'm not trying to be rude by saying that. That's just the view that I have. What I think is best moving forward for everybody would be to become an independent thinker and obtain this muscle memory so that you can do it on your own, no matter where you are, no matter what time you're doing it. Because that's the other thing. I'm not always going to be here. I sleep during London session. I have other businesses to run. I have family to be with. I have relationships, right? So maybe we'll do that in the future. Maybe we'll do, a little signal service. Cross that bridge when we get there. I would love to know how you trade with news. So when you avoid trading or just trading. So the times that I avoid are one of the pinned messages. I'll point it out after we're done having this conversation, but I've stated the times that I avoid multiple different times in the general chat. It's also one of the pinned messages. Would it be okay if we avoid daily bias, look for entries in hunting hours like BBFEG? If you're not going to consider the higher time frame order flow, you are going to find yourself on the wrong side majority of the time. There will be unicorns that don't work. Those unicorns are most likely, majority of the time, going to be the ones that are counter trend trades. If you are going against higher time frame order flow, you're going to get stopped out more of the time. So completely ignoring bias is not a good idea. Like, yes, you can do whatever you feel like doing. Is it going to be lower probability? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do, but I can absolutely point out what is higher and lower probability. I mean, time frame wise, for is the unicorn the same at PM? yes, I only use the 5 minute to execute. So in terms of time frame, I always use the 5 minute. Or maybe I'm understanding the question wrong, and you're asking if there's unicorns on multiple time frames. There's going to be a unicorn at any moment in time. There's going to be a unicorn on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 30 minute, whatever. There's going to be unicorns at any time and on any time frame. Again, why I was stressing the point of defining yourself so much, because we need to filter out what is right and what is wrong. When we are looking at a bullish setup, will the breaker always be a green candle? Yes. For a bullish breaker, it is the highest up closed, keyword closed, closing price, closed, the highest up closed candle before, next keyword, before the leg down that took liquidity, right? I'm going to draw it out on the screen real quick so you can see what I'm saying. Up closed. It's not highest up candle, right? See, this has a higher high right here. Let me zoom in. This is the highest price, but it's not highest up closed. Closure. The closing of the candle. This is a up closed candle. I know I don't use green and red, but this would be a green candle. Highest up closed before, now that's the next keyword, before. This is the leg down that took liquidity, right? Like if this was a line chart, it would look like this. Down, up, down. Highest up close before the leg down that took liquidity. If there is consecutive candles, if the highest up close candle before the leg down that took liquidity has 2 green candles in a row, you use the consecutive candles. When there is only one, you only use one. Vice versa for shorts. Lowest down closed candle before the leg up that took liquidity. So for bearish setups, it will always be a down close. For bullish setups, it will always be an up close. That will never change. Is it bad that I have everything laid out and I'm not really engaged in PA until that higher time frame and short time liquidity are taken and the breaker appears? That's when I start concentrating. Yeah, I mean there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I do. I always have the charts up, right? Like I have the chart up right now. But I'm not really engaged in price. We're sitting here talking. I'm also once I take my first trade, I'm no longer engaged in price. I'm still watching it though. That clarification makes sense to ensure RR is proper. I've been trying to focus on SBT hours and paper trade after top-down analysis. Enter on 1 or 5 minute. I don't enter on the 1 minute. I would suggest completely deleting the 1 minute time frame. Does unicorn setup occur several times a week? Yeah, the unicorn could present it 5 times in one day. It could present itself every single day of the week. It always presents itself. But again, the RR is important. Please ensure the RR, or else you're never going to make progress. If your winners are always half an R and your losers are always minus 1 R, you're never going to make progress. None of us is going to have a 100% win rate. Regarding my question, I don't pay attention in the middle of a range until, yeah, I agree with that as well. If you're not at a higher time frame area of liquidity, there's nothing to do. If you're in the middle of a range, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing to look at. Right now, let's take a look at that right now. Right, like so. We'll do the daily to 1 hour to 5 minute time alignment. Right, so seeing that the 1 hour has not swept the hourly swing high here, right? Like, I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested in this right here. I don't even care about it, to be honest. Not even going to look at it. This means nothing to me. Sure, there's an FEG. There is a breaker block. Doesn't matter. We're not at a higher time frame area of interest. I don't have to engage in price. I'll sit here and watch it. You don't have to engage in it if it's not at a higher time frame area of interest. If I put in a limit buy, SL, and TP, but I do not get filled and price gets to my TP level I place, yes, if price runs to your take profit without giving you an entry, the position is no longer considered. If you've placed limit orders and after all of your criteria was confirmed, price runs right to take profit without ever giving you an entry, that means no chasing. No chasing. The position completed its objective without you. That's fine. Cool. You saw it correctly. It just didn't give you an entry. You're going to have 100 different scenarios. That's never going to mean that you change the actions to your justifications. Joined live stream a bit late, but thanks for sharing. Can you give a few points on how to keep emotions in place when in trade? It's difficult. So I know you joined the live stream late, but that's exactly what this live stream was about. So if you don't mind, we've already been on here we're going on an hour and a half now. I'm not going to say the entire conversation that we just had over again. If you want, just please listen to the recording. I'm going to upload the recording right after this because that is exactly what we talked about today. I'm not trying to ignore your conversation. It's just we literally just talked about that for an hour and a half, so you could just watch this live stream right after this. With avoiding news, do you mean don't trade for the rest of the day or just, for example, 30 minutes? I don't trade at the time of CPI. I don't trade at the time of FOMC non-farm payroll. I do not trade Wednesday to Friday of non-farm payroll. That is what I mean about those days. Do you consider a wick or a body when it comes to liquidity? Does it differ in higher time frame? There's no difference in taking liquidity. Whether it's a wick that takes liquidity or whether it's a body that takes liquidity, it has either been taken or not. There's no difference in terms of it being a wick. Price either went above a swing high or it has not. Doesn't matter if it's, wick or body. There's no difference. Do you use other PD arrays for internal liquidity or FEGs or only FEGs? Wondering if you use order blocks. FEGs are internal. Swing highs, swing lows are external. Those are what I use. You can use order blocks. Again, there are thousands and thousands of traders out there and thousands of systems. I'm not here to say what is right or wrong. I'm just here to publicly document what I do. I use internal as FEGs. I use external as swing highs and swing lows. Now, you can't change the definition to something, right? So, like, external cannot be an FEG. External cannot be an order block, right? Like, you can't change the definitions to things. But what I'm saying is if you want to use an order block, yes, that would be an internal location, but it's only, going to be an internal location. For the PM session, can I treat the lunch session as open? Yeah, if you see the lunch highs getting swept, yes, ICT talks about this. Lunch is a time where price will seek liquidity. Using the lunch session highs as a sweep, that makes complete sense. Thank you for answering my questions. Of course, yeah, that's why I'm here, guys. I'm just trying to, add value, document publicly. I'm really just trying to put the energy into the world that I would want in return for myself. There was, nobody that I could ask questions to in the beginning, so I had to go through trial and error, and that's why this Discord is here, because if it was me for what I would want for myself in the beginning, I would have preferred to have somebody to ask questions to. But I had to do the whole trial and error thing and just, watch ICT YouTube videos and then go to back testing and do it time and time again until I finally understood what was going on. Thank you. What a great class. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. This was a great class. I think the conversation is far from being over. I'm glad we got to go over what we did today, but this is only the beginning of it. I think we're going to have to keep showing up every single week. I think we're going to have to keep learning. So just strive to learn, strive to have patience, strive to have discipline, because conviction is going to come with experience. The more times you see this happening, the more conviction you're going to have in yourself and your own abilities and your own thoughts. So you need to have the patience to get to that point, is what I'm saying. Have the discipline to follow the justifications to your actions. And when you follow those justifications to your actions and it ends up working out, that's going to be a positive reinforcement that really provides conviction. When you do something outside of the justifications to your actions, that's when you're going to get annoyed to yourself. And that's the conversation that we were having earlier about, psychology. We are going on an hour and a half now, so I'm going to start to wrap up the conversation. If anybody has anything left to say, I'm going to slowly wrap it up here. Great conversation. Like I said, we're going to have to do this, each week. We're going to have to just keep getting in here, keep getting the experience. The experience is going to happen over time.